Let's whip it. Whoa, there we go. Yeah. I mean, both cars do that, but it never really gets old. So going into the 4th year of having a Tesla, and every single time I accelerate like that onto a highway, brings a smile to my face. Alright, so we are now at 416 miles in this car. By the time we get home, it'll be just over 500. So time for my extensive review of the Y after finally driving around a little bit. Bye, Mommy, yeah. So I'm driving us home today in the Model Y. I drove down in the 3, but wanted to drive the Y back home to do a little bit of a comparison. I also have been driving it around throughout the week. We ended up using this car kind of around the town, getting to restaurants and stuff, just to have, you know, a little bit more space and stuff as we were driving around Cape May. And now that we've put a few hundred miles on it, I feel like I'm getting a better sense of it. I definitely am enjoying this car. I really don't think it's that different than the 3. There's like a surprising amount of sort of difference between the popularity of the 3 and the Y, and like people are very opposite ends of the coin with it. And honestly, like they're basically the same car. The Y a little bit higher, you get a bit more trunk space, a little more width in these seats that helps spread out a little bit more. But you know, that's it. Like, I mean, it gives you a little bit more flexibility, but it drives very similar, feels very similar. It's not like a big SUV. You're not going to fit a family of you know, 7 in here. Although I guess you do have that seating option, but it would be tight, to be honest with you. And it's just, I mean, it's a nice car. Like, I get why this has sort of become the default. In America, nobody really drives sedans. Everybody wants a compact crossover SUV kind of thing. But like, the 3 is almost $10,000 cheaper. You're getting more range. It drives a little bit nicer. Not too much different, but like you get a little bit less roll. You don't feel quite as high up. I think you honestly have a little bit better visibility, both out the front, because you can actually see the front of the car, which you can't here, and out the back because of the way that the pillars are. So in the Y, because it's sort of the, you know, the hatchback design, it's pretty small viewing area out the back window. Let's whip it. Whoa, there we go. Yeah. I mean, both cars do that, but it never really gets old. So going into the 4th year of having a Tesla, and every single time I accelerate like that onto a highway, brings a smile to my face. But you know, it's now the car's yelling at me that we're not gonna have enough range to get home, but I disagree. So you know, it's I don't see why, like, you've got to go with the Y and that's the default, and the 3 is just too small for everybody. It's about the same. Yeah, I mean, you can see we got plenty of room back here in the Y too. Even with all of our beach stuff, we got the wagon in here, we've got a stroller, all of our beach toys and everything. Ample room for a child seat still there, and you know, the one seat and the split center down. I do like in the Y. I mean, I know, like, I keep talking about it, and it probably doesn't make a difference to anyone but me, but I really do like that in the Y compared to the 3. You have the option to put the the center part down, the armrest kind of thing, or not even armrest, but the middle seat, I guess, down independently in this car. So in the 3, you can only put it down if you put down the driver's side back seat, whereas here you can just do it by itself, or you could do it with either seat or both. It's totally independent, which is quite nice. In the Y, you also have powered down back seats, I guess you'd say, meaning that there's a button in the trunk that you can hit that just flips the seats down, and like, you don't have to go, you know, push something on the back of them to put them down. So that's pretty nice. They don't put themselves back up with power or anything. You have to go, like, flip them back, but they're also super light, so it's easy to do, you know, even if you've got something in your hand, or anything like that. So very nice. I think, you know, this is one of the appealing parts of the Y over the 3. You sacrifice a little bit of range, a little bit of efficiency. It's a more expensive car, fairly considerably now, but you do get this extra convenience factor of having more room and more just flexibility too, like with the way that the seat goes and stuff. So it's definitely nice to have that, and it's actually starting to make us lean toward keeping the Y instead of the 3 now, which was not the plan initially. We just did a little bit more research today too, and it looks like both the 3 and the Y, at least instant offer wise from CarMax, are both at about an $8,000 premium right now, or profit margin, if I were to sell either one of these to them immediately right now. I'm sure I could do a little bit better by shopping around with some of the other sites a little bit more. Could definitely do better through like private sale, but then I have to deal with people, and I'm not sure I want to do that. So I still haven't made up our mind, but after this trip especially, just having the convenience of the Y is making me lean toward hanging on to this one a little bit more now. So we'll see what we end up doing. Yeah, so now already stuck back in some shore traffic because we're going back south now, which isn't really the way that we want to be going to get back home, but wanted to hit the Cape May Brewery before we leave. And having the Tesla is very nice here. First, because right now I can just do autopilot and let the car kind of deal with the stop and go-ness here. And second, because with the great acceleration in this car, I was able to, let's just say, very easily get in on the on-ramp and save myself a little bit of a headache from a bunch of slow cars that were holding everybody up before. So definitely appreciate the peppiness of the Model Y on this drive. And this isn't the performance one. I don't have the acceleration boost. This is just their standard long-range Model Y. A lot of people have been asking me about the performance Model Y versus just the regular long range, and how the ride quality is on this one. Honestly, I don't really think you need the performance one unless you're going to be like taking it to the track, or you have really, really, really specific requirements for the suspension and ride feel. This one, very comfortable, handles potholes quite well. I mean, we're in South Jersey here, which is kind of pothole city, and you know, I'm not feeling them really much at all. This has got the 19-inch wheels as opposed to the 20. The 20 are like an additional option when you order it that they try to sneak in as a default, but you have to remove if you want to save the $2,000 for them. So this is on the 19, which I think makes it a little bit of a smoother ride, handles the bumps a little bit better. But you know, I mean, it's not. I don't have any issues or concerns at all with the ride quality. Maybe I'm not that fine-tuned to it, but it feels super comfortable to me. You know, it does feel like you're a little bit more off the ground, and there's a tiny bit more body roll in the 3, but I only notice that because I'm so used to driving the 3. You compare this to like our Buick SUV, and it's night and day difference. This is, you know, much more sporty kind of feel. Feels really well connected to the ground, with all of the weight of the batteries right underneath you and centered. With the all-wheel drive, this thing hugs the ground. I really don't think that you need to spend the extra money for the performance one if you're worried about the ride quality. This one is plenty good enough, and unless you're switching back and forth between the two on a daily basis, you're never going to notice the difference. So, if you are debating whether or not to get the performance version, I would say no, unless you're going to track days or driving like an a-hole like this person. Oh wow, very cool. Yeah. Oh, too loud. It's a good license plate. Anyway, clearly was exposing some personal concerns there, we'll say, with Tesla versus his loud car. Anywho, if you're considering the performance version, I would say no, unless you are driving at track days. You don't need the extra acceleration. This car is probably the fastest accelerating car that you've ever had, unless you've had other electric cars before. The handling is exceptional. It feels super well connected to the ground. Yes, it is a turn and brake by wire system, but there's good responsiveness and feedback into the wheel. You very much feel like exactly how the road is going, the contours of it. You don't need to worry about that at all. The ride quality is very, very good. I'm super comfortable in here for this long drive. Very cushiony seats, nice bolstering on the side here. I'm not a huge person, but I feel very comfortable here. I don't feel like I'm sliding around or anything. And to be honest with you, I'm pretty sweaty right now. And it doesn't feel like I'm just like slipping and sliding around, which is nice. Model Y versus Model 3. Honestly, unless you really need the space, unless you've gone and measured several things that you own that you cannot leave your house without, and they only fit in the Y versus the 3 because of the hatchback, get the 3. You don't need it. Like you don't need the Y, especially for almost 10 grand more. You're going to be fine with the 3. You get more range, cheaper car, better handling, better accelerating. You can see and feel the road better. You don't need to spend extra money for this. You will be very, very happy in the 3. Trust me. But it's funny, the Y, I mean, even from a YouTube view perspective, I put up very similar videos of my delivery day pickup for both cars, and got way more views and comments and engagement and everything on the Y than the 3. There's clearly more interest in the Y, and that's why the demand is so much higher, why you wait so much longer for it. I mean, that's another thing with the 3, why you should get the 3. I put in this order for the Y in November, and the car was available to pick up in New Jersey in like late June, so over 7 months. The 3 I put in an order in March, I think, and it was available 2 weeks earlier. So you don't have to wait as long for it, and you're going to be just as happy with it. But everybody seems to be way more interested in the Y than the 3, at least in the US, where the default is just to get an SUV. Both cars are going to be quite good in the snow, very bottom heavy from the batteries, so you're not going to feel like you're going to flip over. Both the long range variants are all-wheel drive. They've both got great tires. 18 inches by default in the 3, but you can go up to 19, and this one is 19 for the Y, but you can go up to 20. Honestly, any of that's going to be fine in the snow. I guess maybe you have a tiny bit more ground clearance in the Y, but it's insignificantly different. So I know that also the I don't even know what to call it, the new Model Ys, I guess, are coming out of the Gigafactory Austin plant, and some are coming with the new 4680 batteries, which is a structural battery pack. There are a couple of other changes with that too. So from everything I've read, it seems like what they're doing is it's a limited run right now of those new ones. They're only offering it to employees and people very nearby in Texas, at least for the time being, sort of as like a way to get a Y faster if you've already got an order in on a normal one. But like, you can't go on the site right now and order a standard ranged or whatever Model Y. There's no option for like the 4681. So by default, you're getting the the older, I guess, version of the long range. But like, everybody seems very obsessed with like these 4680 batteries and wants to get that. I get it. Like, they're better. They're the future ones. They have better efficiency. You can charge them higher. They don't have the same degradation by charging up to 100% versus 80. But like, that's only available on the standard range cars right now, and so you're getting less capacity overall anyway. So like, don't worry about it. Wait till they're in the long range cars, and then and they're shipping to you. Like, then worry about it and get that one. But like, it's not like Tesla's going to give you the option between the two anyway. Like, it's probably going to be two very different cars for a while. Like, probably a standard range plus, whatever you want to call it, on the Y, when they do start opening it up more generally. And then eventually it's just going to replace the normal long range. So like, just get what works for you. Like, you don't need to worry about having the battery cells of the future. It's all fine. You're going to be happy with all of it. I guess along with that, there are a couple of other like small changes that people have noticed. There are matrix LED headlights, although I've also read that those are only available in Europe right now, where I guess regulations are different, and I don't know if they're required in Europe and not here, or if they're allowed in Europe but not here. So anyway, they're going to Europe right now. They're not going to the US. You're not going to get those. It doesn't matter. The headlights are plenty bright. The automatic headlamp part on the Tesla, to be honest with you, is pretty annoying anyway. I usually shut it off when I can, although it always turns itself back on. But they're super aggressive. I feel like I'm blinding people all the time, and then they get confused by like reflections off of signs and stuff. So don't worry about that. It's not going to make your life any better. That's not going to be the thing that all of a sudden brings you fulfillment in life, if you're missing it right now. I guess another difference is a shelf, like trunk liner kind of thingy. Trunk shelf, parcel shelf, let's call it that, in the newer Ys. This one does not have that. I don't care. Every car I've ever had that has had one of those shelves, I get sick of it after the first time I go to the grocery store and rip it out and throw it in the garage, and then forget about it and realize that I have it 10 years later after I don't have the car anymore. So it's not a big deal here. I guess people want it for like privacy of whatever you're keeping in your trunk. But you know what? Either A, don't put dead bodies in the trunk, just a suggestion for you, or throw a sheet over it. No one's gonna know. Not a big deal. Not gonna make your life that different. You don't need to wait for that. You don't need to specifically order a car for that. It doesn't matter. So just waste space anyway. Yeah, and then last big thing, I guess because of when I put the order in, I still got the mobile charger included with the car, which is the 110 volts outlet plug, and then the like Tesla movable, usable cable, which is what I've always used in our cars. We have a NEMA 1450 240 volt outlet in our garage. Looks the same as like the one that you'd have on your dryer. I asked to have it built in when we had our house built, and then on our old house we had one put in. Luckily our fuse box was right in the garage anyway, so it was very short wiring to the outlet. It cost us I think about $350 a few years ago. I've heard anywhere from sort of that up to like $500-600 depending on how bad the wiring in your house is. But that's a good option. A lot of people get the like Tesla officially installed wall outlet charger thing. I think the main difference is that the NEMA 1450 outlet can only give you, I guess the 50 part is that it can technically do 50 amps, but it doesn't actually. So it can really only go up to, I think it's like 32, honestly, that we get in the car. And the voltage is limited to 240, but you usually get a little bit less than that too. Whereas the Tesla wall one, since it's like fully integrated into your electricity in the house, can go a bit higher, and you can get a bit more kilowatt rates wise. But again, honestly, like I think there's more downsides with that than there are upsides. First of all, you're then stuck with the Tesla one for the rest of your life, unless you have it ripped out and install a different one. With the NEMA one, you can you know, put in a charger for any car that supports that, which is like a universal standard. So pretty much anything is going to support that. The other one is like those faster charging rates sound great on paper, but it doesn't make a significant difference. You might save like an hour or two of charging from like 0 to full. But first of all, you're not doing that very often anyway. You're usually setting a charging limit to like 80% for daily driving anyway. And then even if you are worried about it, like almost every single time I'm charging at night anyway. So having it charged for an extra hour overnight doesn't make a difference anyway. You're not saving any money or anything. You're still paying the same rate per like kilowatt. So it really doesn't matter. So honestly, I'm happy we have the 1450 outlet instead. And then the mobile charging thing, although now, well, I guess now they don't give you that at all. With these cars, we did not get the 240 adapter, but thankfully I had one from before, which I think I may have bought anyway myself when we first got the initial standard range Model 3. But I still feel like that's a pretty key accessory. I get why they stopped offering it. Like, apparently most people aren't using that anyway. they're getting the wall ones put in, or they're going and charging at whatever like public charging infrastructure they have, or stopping at the fast chargers whenever they need it. They just don't have the options in their apartments and their houses and stuff. But like for somebody like me, where it's in our house, where we're charging all the time for that, it is absolutely crucial to have that 240 adapter in the charging cable. So I wish they had not gotten rid of that. Yeah, let's see what else. So I guess the biggest things with Tesla, I've kind of gotten used to them. This is now going into the 4th year of having a Tesla, but I'm sure people, thinking about it, maybe they're considering going electric for the first time, might be getting into a Tesla, might have an order out already. The biggest thing you're immediately going to notice is just the driving. So Teslas definitely are optimized for speed. The acceleration is amazing, but it's true for all electric vehicles. Like any electric car that you're going to get will have that same instant torque, that gearless lack of lag and everything, coming from like a standard dyno juice car to an electric one. And so it really does feel like a performance car. Like I've had a Mini Cooper S as like the first car that I ever had that was sort of performance oriented. We had 2 Z4s. One was the older 6-cylinder. The second one was the dual turbo? Yeah, I guess turbo. Dual turbo inline 4. Then I went to a couple 3 Series, and then moved to the Tesla. But this feels like one of those kinds of cars, like very similar to a BMW overall, I'd say. It's sort of on that like performance luxury-ish kind of range. You don't get the same feeling of luxury in here. Like it's pretty Spartan on the interior. All you really have is the screen. The materials are like nice, but not fantastic. But from like a driving feel standpoint, very much on par with those. Like very well tuned, very connected to the road. Handling is fantastic. Like your steering input, very small adjustments you need to make to feel like you're really in control of the car. It doesn't feel like there are 10 different electronic systems between you, the wheel, and the wheels. Whatever you're doing with the wheel, like you're gonna feel it going into the tires, and whatever's going on the road, you're gonna feel on the steering wheel too. So great, sports kind of handling feel. Acceleration, I usually leave this on the standard acceleration. You've got the option for chill also, which is probably a better thing for me to do because you're less likely to like shred the tires with it. But I just like that feeling of sort of instant acceleration if I ever need it, especially getting onto highways, pulling out from green lights, if there any aggressive maneuvering I need to do to stay safe. It's nice to just have that instantly available. And you've always got that in any model of the Tesla for sure. Had it in the old standard range Model 3, have it in the newer long range Model 3, and definitely have it here in the regular long range Model Y as well. From a charging and battery standpoint, I definitely do like the long range option. If you're going for Model Y anyway, like that's pretty much your only option. You're either getting long range or performance, and they're pretty comparable anyway. It's like same overall battery pack and capacity anyway. It's just the performance you're losing a little bit because you've got a little bit more weight, and you're using a bit more of that energy for like the equivalent of horsepower. But overall, like pretty much the same. I guess with the new 4680s, technically they're like pseudo standard range ones coming out, but they're not like really available anywhere anyway. I definitely can't get one in New Jersey right now, so don't totally count. But compared to the old standard range Model 3 that I had, it's nice, especially for like a trip like this, to have that extra capacity. I was able to charge all the way down in Cape May, which is the southernmost part of New Jersey. We're driving all the way back home to not the far northernmost part of New Jersey that we used to live in, but like pretty far north. And so it's about 150, 160 mile drive, and so I didn't even have to charge barely beyond like 60%, and that got me plenty of range to be able to get there. Although we'll see how we actually do against that. So it's nice to have that extra, but honestly, like if you're between the models and you're not sure if you need that extra range, you probably don't. the standard range, especially on the 3, gets you more than enough range, especially on like a daily basis. You're probably going to charge the car almost every night anyway, or I mean, you always can if you need to. And so, like, you don't really need to look at that, or the way that you should look at that range is that that's the maximum capacity that you have for when you absolutely need it. Not that, like, you need to worry about having that every single day. Most people are driving, you know, only like dozens of miles basically per day. And so it's only these road trips that you're really going to need it. And, like, do you really need to spend the extra money to have that capacity once or twice a year, depending on how often you're actually, you know, road tripping further? The supercharging network is so good and so optimal that you're not going to have to worry about it anyway. Like, just stop. You top up a little bit earlier. But it's not going to add a significant amount of time to your trip anyway. So if you are worried about the money, or even if not, even if you just, like, if you're not sure if you need that range, don't get it and save the money. Like, you can always put that into the next one that you get if you find that you really do need it, or you know, save that money for extra supercharging if you truly need it. All right, so also on the topic of ride quality, you can tell it is super quiet in here. This one does have the double paned glass windows, although I noticed they're only in the front, not in the back for whatever reason. And I definitely noticed a little bit less wind noise in this compared to my older 3 that didn't have that, that had just the single pane ones. Although I really wouldn't say it's that significant. Like, don't look at that double pane thing that they're doing for the last year or so and think, oh, this is going to make the car like massively quiet or anything. It was already quiet. It's still quiet. It's not like you know, a phone booth or something at this point. You get, you know, the interesting thing with the electric vehicle is obviously you don't get the same engine noise that you have with a gas car, but you end up getting, you know, sometimes a little bit more wind noise, and definitely what you hear the most is like just the road noise, but it's a much more like just constant kind of sound, and so you kind of just zone it out and you don't notice it very much anyway. And I definitely feel like this car dampens that a bit more than the older ones that I had. You can tell even, you know, it's quiet enough that my co-pilot back there is passed out and sleeping even through me talking. Super quiet and very comfortable in here. I also get a lot of questions about the build quality, which you know, I think it's probably a little bit overblown, but it's probably a fair criticism of Tesla. It's not the same build quality that you're going to get with, you know, a Mercedes or BMW or you know, even like a Honda or Toyota. Tesla has not been making cars as long. They don't make as many cars. There's still manual processes and some defects in that process. But it's not as bad as people make it out to be. Like, I picked up 2 cars a few weeks ago, and neither one has like any noticeable issue with it. There's no big chips in the paint, nothing mismatched. I don't see like a difference in the paint between, you know, different panels on the car. I don't have these big panel gaps that people are always talking about and stressing out about. Sure, I have not gotten out with like a tape measure and measured, you know, millimeter by millimeter is exactly the same on every single panel in the car, but like, I don't see it with my eye. No one else is going to see it. It's not a problem. I think they're doing fine. Sure, some cars have that issue, but I think their quality control has definitely gotten better. And if you do have any issue, like, they're very happy to take care of it. They make it very easy for you. It's not going to be a problem for you. Every car has differences and inconsistencies and like slightly different tolerances and measurements and stuff. But it's not like pieces are going to hang off a brand new Tesla, or that you're going to have to worry about, you know, all this creaking and groaning and stuff that everybody's creaking and groaning about themselves. I don't notice any of those issues. I never had a problem with 25,000 miles on my last car over 3 years. I don't notice anything at all in either one of these cars. I think they're doing a fine job with stuff, and it seems to hold up fine over time. And if it doesn't, they will take care of it for you. You don't need to worry about it. People on the internet like to complain about things. That's become like a trope at this point, and you know, I just don't think the reality really matches it. All right, so we've got all 3 car seats here in the Model Y, and it honestly doesn't make as big of a difference as I thought it would. they're a little bit less shoved up against each other as they were in the Model 3, but it's not a considerable difference. They're still pretty much on top of each other. And the biggest thing is the middle piece here doesn't have its own separate latch system. It's exactly the same as the 3. You have to go into the same, or go into the like seating area over here to get into the latch. Which means that the seat belts for each of these seats then has to go underneath the seat. So pretty much the same thing as before. Honestly, I don't know if it's just because I've gotten used to the 3 at this point that it's a little bit easier, but this was actually, I'd say, harder to get the seatbelt into. So if you're looking at a Y over a 3 for the main reason of being able to fit 3 car seats, honestly, doesn't make a big difference.
And Mommy and Daddy are fighting.
We're not fighting, we're just talking.
Well, we don't know. We just got a new car, so.
Alright, and this is how the car seats fit, all 3 across, with actual humans in them. Do you guys feel like you have a lot more room in this car, or the same as the other one?
Same as the other one.
Oh, it doesn't feel bigger?
It feels a lot smaller.
Oh. And here's how the seat belts are, way down in here. So you got to stick your hand all the way down in the crevice. And then you have a child that is stuck. And there you go. All right, Axel, hop on out. Jump.
And then you have a little baby and a baby seat.
See, still have to do latches over on the side here. And when you plug this seatbelt in from this seat, it's got to go all the way over here and underneath this seat. So still not much better. And from exactly 30 minutes in the car, 1 drive, this is why we need seat protectors. There and there. Terrible. Terrible. All right, so we're at 541 miles now in this car. So I feel like I'm getting a pretty good sense of the Model Y now. I really do like it. Definitely recommend it as a car. It's nothing I can say about it that would be a reason not to buy it. Super comfortable, super quiet, great family cruiser, good road trip car. Very comfortable, very happy in it. You have to give Tesla credit for what they've done for electric vehicles and making this mainstream, making it, livable without major sacrifices, and really pushing the industry forward. The only thing that, prevents me from wanting to keep this car is just everything going on around the company, all of the distractions with the full self-driving and digging tunnels and building autonomous robots and stuff, and then the Cybertruck. Like, just focus on these cars, which are amazing, fantastic mass market cars that could be affordable EVs that get everybody into it, and they could still make a huge profit on them because of the demand. But they just seem so distracted by everything else. And that's, I'm not even going to get into Elon and whatever is going on there. Thankfully, he's been quiet for the last week or so, but who knows what's going to happen on the off cycle of the news over the long weekend. It becomes harder and harder to kind of, continue to support this company, especially with so many others doing great things in the EV space now. So we'll see. I mean, others have certainly not caught up yet. They've got a long way to go. Tesla's still, innovating at a very rapid pace. They're so much better at software than everyone else. And I don't just mean like the UI, but which they are definitely better with. But even just, the overall experience of like integration of software into the car, handling of like superchargers and routing you to them, making it super easy to just go plug in and use it. I mean, I switched 4 times today and each one took about 10 seconds. Whereas, see some of the Electrify America ones and other stuff where you have to activate apps. There's a handshake process that takes a minute. Things fail all the time. They're always like down and stuff. Tesla does a great job of keeping them maintained and operational. So there's just so many benefits to like the overall infrastructure around it. They're also great with the software updates. You get them all the time. Car keeps getting better. All of these other companies are really still figuring out a lot of that stuff, and I think it's going to be a long way for them to go. Like, they've never really shown that they can be very good at software. They started even just moving away from it entirely a few years ago. Kind of moving toward like Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, giving up more of that experience to like actual software companies. But I think now Tesla's really kind of forced their hand that if you want to succeed and compete with them, you've got to do full end-to-end integration of the software into the car, and so they're coming back at it now. Seems like Ford's doing a decent job. Hyundai's kind of getting there. Polestar's somewhat interested with the just being full Android Auto integrated, but they're even having problems with that still. So long way for them to go. It's really hard to recommend any other EV over a Tesla right now if you can at least afford it. But that's not to say it's going to stay that way forever. So I just wish that they would. I just wish that they would focus more on kind of what their bread and butter is, in the places that they're succeeding. And kind of expand on the periphery of that, rather than just going off in all of these totally unrelated directions that I think are just distractions and out there to get free press, rather than just making the core experience better for the vast majority of their customers. So we'll see how that pans out. I think the next couple of years are going to be super interesting in the EV world as some of the other ones catch up a little bit more, and maybe force Tesla's hand a little bit to actually focus on those things. But we'll see. They're way ahead right now, and I think will continue to be. But yeah, that's what I'm noticing with this car now through about 500 miles. I intend to keep it at least a little bit longer. Initially thought I was just going to sell this car immediately, but I think this road trip has really shown us that it's a great, capable car for us. It works really well for our family, and it's going to be hard to get rid of this one. We were talking this morning, I think we actually might be leaning toward getting rid of the 3 now instead. So we'll see. I'll keep you posted on what we end up doing. I don't think anything's going to happen in the next couple of days or even week or so with it, but we'll be hanging on a little bit longer, and we'll definitely have some more videos coming, both with Tesla news and continued impressions and review of how things are holding up and how the car is doing as I keep it. So if you're interested in all of that stuff, make sure to subscribe. If you enjoyed this video, do please give a like. It really does help out. It brings it up to other viewers. It helps this channel out. Gets me more views and subscribers so that I can keep making these videos. I'm just doing this for fun right now, sort of a combination of passion project and where my interests are right now, as well as a little kind of mini resolution I made to myself to try to get more into making videos rather than just writing this year. So if you're enjoying it, let me know. If there are things that you'd like to know or that you think I could do better, let me know those things too. I'm going to do my best to keep these coming every couple of days. So I'll keep you posted, and in the meantime, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.